Alright, so I'm going to explain how we just, so that when you're trying to copy the codes, where you try and open the file in terms of copying. Now, looking at my arrow here, it says create new file. When you click on create new file, you can just name it data types. Now because I have data types, so let me just put data types to dot. Your extension, which is SQL, means Solidity. This is how you open a file, in Remix IDE. .sql is important. That in tell is the compiler on the system that I'm trying to use the Solidity file. Then you click on enter. So when you click on enter, a new file is created. Now this is where the text I sent, you can just copy the format, then you paste it in this empty space. Now when you click on empty space, now let me go back to this. Now this is our file, this is our search, and this is where you get your information of your compiler versions, your compile data types. For now, this won't be needing much of this, but the most important one is where you deploy and you want your transaction. This is the most important place we'll be using. So we can forget about this now. This is a GitHub, involves GitHub. So now going back to your file, when you click on it, when you've typed and copy and paste, or you can just type so you have more understanding. Now when you're done, you click on Ctrl S, which is save. Now when you click on Ctrl S, you observe that in your compiler tags, or your compiler tags, but it shows compilation successful. If it doesn't show compilation successful, it means there's an error during your compilation process. Now instead of using Ctrl S, you can still just come to the compiler tab, Solidity compiler, then you click on compile. You click on compile data type. It's going to bring out the name of your file. Now when you click on the next one is to go to the deploy and run transaction tab. Now this is the most important place where you'll be working, and this is where it shows your environment, which is a remix. Now environment, it depends on where you can select the remix virtual machine in London, in Berlin, Shanghai. It depends on what you're doing. So mostly I'll just leave you by the default, which is Shanghai. Now the account is the address that calls this smart contract. So this is the account. There are many accounts by default where you can play with, but let's just leave it by default, which is the address. This is the gas limit by default. Don't tap with it. This is the value. This is the way. During our consecutive explanation, we'll be explaining how this is being used. Now contract, this shows your location, or directory rather, to your contract. So the most important one is now when you do not click on deploy. Now when you click on deploy, you observe in your history, or in your console, it shows some information that tells you, okay, it's been a checked mark. Now later on I'll explain what this means. The check mark, that's why it's successful. Now after that, you check in your contract this deployed contract. In deployed contract, you click on it. It's going to bring out the functions you've written, everything you've written. Now if you observe, you've written address, boolean, you've written nothing bool, you've written address, all what you've actually been able to type and get, because we are dealing with data type. So in your address, when you click on it, it's going to show you this is the first one is bringing out. It's going to show you an address. Because I'm making it public, that's why it is visible to the user. Now if I remove the public, then when I recompile, which is when I click on Ctrl Save and I deploy my smart contract again, it will tell me that, okay, it won't even pop up this information that there's an address that I've already done, a variable name that's called ADDR. Now because I'm making public, it shows that there's a variable that should be visible to the user called ADDR. So when I click on it, it's going to bring that same information, which is OXCA this. Then because I've made my variables public, that's why it's bringing out all this information. When I click on it, it's going to bring out true, my default address. Now this one comes underneath this. Now if you observe here, these are default values. Because this is an address, public, default address, I didn't assign any values to it. So it shows out the default value for an address is 000. Now default is false, default integer is 0, default unsigned int is 0. So it depends on anything I'm making public. It's going to be visible to the user. So this is just a simple explanation of how you use it. Now Going forward now, we have the variables, which is okay, yeah, which is what I was trying to explain. So let me close this. Okay, now it says variables. There are three types of variables in Solidity. We have the local, we have the state, and we have the global. In the local variable, is declared inside a function and is also not stored on the blockchain state. We also have the state, which is declared outside the function and is stored on the blockchain. We have the global. Global, provides more information about the blockchain. Now, like I said, before you start your Solidity, codes, you have to specify your license. Now, I'm using MIT, which of course is just a proposed version of what you can use unlicensed. Then followed by your Solidity version. Remember, your pragma is very important, as it tells this compiler that okay, I'm using this, so I'm trying to use this particular Solidity version. Now, the greater than, okay, it shows that okay, I'm using a greater than value. Then followed by the contract, then the contract name, then open your curly braces. Now, in this curly braces where I type my functions or whatsoever thing I want to do on it is inside this curly braces. I typed it. So now this is string. We are dealing with string here. Now, in using this string, I'm making it public. Well, we can also type on the string name is equals to Daniel. Now, I'll open my quotes to say Daniel something. Then you close the statement with a semicolon. So that's to terminate it. So it shows that I'm bringing a string data type, a variable name, a variable called name, and the name I'm assigning to Daniel. Now this is because I'm making it, if you observe, I didn't put public here. It means the user will be able to interact or see that information. Well, when immediately I put public, which shows this color green, it tells the compiler when doing the compilation process that okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm making it available to the user. I'm making this available to that. We also have string public text hello. We also have the unit public and num, which is 123. Now this is a function. If you observe before, function actually allows you, contains one or more codes so that we can actually reuse it and will make your work easier. So when you want to start a function, write the function name. Then this is a function, do something. It's just a function name, do something. That's the name. Now I'm making it public so that the user can access it. Now inside this function, I'm creating a local variable. Like I said, local variable is created inside the function. So we make uint I equals to 456. Remember, this uint automatically means uint 256. Then we also have the uint timestamp. Now this I'll be explaining more further. It shows that it's a current block timestamp. When we go further, I'll be explaining what it does. Then address sender is equals to message.sender. Now message.sender is a code, or would I say, okay, let me just say it's a code that has many more encapsulated functions. When you call message.sender, it means you're calling the address of the contract. It means the person that is using this contract, I want that address to store in this sender. That is what it simply means. It means address, of this person that is calling this contract. So when I click on save, which is Ctrl S, if you try and observe your program, in this place, in the Solidity compiler, it shows that there's an error. Now when it pops up a value like this, now you go through it and confirm where the error is coming from. From here, it's showing warning line 225, shows that it is an unused local variable uint I. Now why is it unused? Because I'm not making it public. Even though I'm making it public though, it's still showing that it's an unused variable. Why? Is because it's not adding or it's not performing any specific function. So it's not doing any relevant thing to this function, do something. So also another on line 228, is an unused local variable because it's not performing any function. Going further, we also have the address.sender is unused because I'm not really using it to do anything. But doing more, I'll explain how you can solve for this problem. But that doesn't mean your contract won't deploy, because it shows that that there's an error. So when you try and deploy it, you go to your deploy and run transaction. Then you click on deploy. So when you deploy, let me click on deploy. So when you deploy, you have, when you click on function, do something, it's just so that yes, it's successful. But because we are not really doing anything in that function space, so it's not bringing anything out. But if you observe the name, we have the norms, we also have the text. It means that the value that is being embedded here. Like I said, if we remove the public, it won't bring that available function to the user. So let me cut this video so it will be too long.